Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Lucious Showcase. I am Lucious T, and welcome to the premiere episode of my childhood gaming collection. Now, I'm always one of those people that's very interested in not just kind of what games people like, but also what games people played at what point in their life, and then in relation to what other games. And since me and my older brother were so fastidious in cataloging our childhood collection, even until as recent as the late 2010s, I thought it'd be interesting to go back and look at the games through the years. Now, I won't be able to do chronological for the most part, especially for these early games. We didn't get the NES, I don't think, until 1987. So it's for this year, which we're doing 1985 and 86. I'm putting 85 and 86 together because 85 was sort of a truncated year for most of the US. We didn't get the NES until 86 anyways. But I just wanted to go through the games, kind of talk about my memories with them, talk about what I remember playing, and just see the evolution of kind of what became. I mean, since I've done this, I've had even some interesting things myself. I didn't catalog Tomb Raider 3 on the PlayStation for some reason. Why? I don't know. I found a mystery complete in box Tetris 2 on the NES. No clue where that came from. And I've realized my WrestleMania X8 on the GameCube is missing, and I have no idea where it was or what my little brother probably did with it. But anyways, let's talk about the games. So we're starting with 1985. 85, I wasn't born yet. So, and even when we got the NES in 87, I was 2. So a lot of these games, I don't know when my brother picked up. Almost assuredly, all these are his games. I think of these first 8 games I'm going to show you here from 85 and 86. One of them was mine, and that's because it came packaged with the NES I got in, I want to say, 1990. But anyways, first and foremost, we're going to talk about baseball on the NES. So I don't remember playing this much at all. We'll talk about another baseball game that we did play. I'm assuming this was a game we got early on. It's my brother's game, complete in box, black box game, which again, I didn't know what black box games were until I started collecting games seriously, and then seeing like, oh yeah, they all do have kind of the same look. But baseball, just playing it for the capturing the footage here, it's all right. It definitely is not a amazing game by any feat. Serviceable baseball, that's for sure, but really not much to say about it. It kind of forgettable title. I think from what I remember as a kid, we would put that game in, maybe play a 2-player game, and then it'd go back in the drawer for a few weeks or months or whatever. It wasn't one we played a lot, especially once we got Baseball Stars. I'll just say it. You know what's coming. Baseball Stars, far and away a much better game. Another 85 release we had, which is the much beloved Excitebike. And this was another game that it's a lot better when you think about it and when you actually play it. It is fun. The funny thing with Excitebike is it's not one of those games where, kind of like RC Pro-Am, where I swear this was a multiplayer game where you could play with 2 people, but you couldn't. And not unless you had the Versus edition, which was in arcades. And only in Japan, I believe. You couldn't. So it was literally taking turns. And the other thing in Excitebike, which I guess when you took turns a lot in these games, and you kind of, it burns in your mind that, we played at the same time. No, you were waiting, which I always hated to do. This is kind of a funny mind trip there. But the main thing I loved doing in Excitebike was the track editor. And it wasn't even really running the tracks, it was building the tracks. And there was just something so fun about clicking the different letters at the bottom of the screen, A through S, I want to say, and just seeing how it reflected on the track. And you would just make this god-awful track with mounds, big ramp, and just no one on Earth could ever drive on it. And that's probably the most fun I ever got in the game. Other than that, Excitebike, kind of forgettable. It's fun. It's fondly remembered, but and it is fun to play for short bursts. But it's not something I want to get to. Like, it's fun. Well, a lot of these 85 games, it's not really something I'd want to play all that much. Although I'm gonna eat my words because Kung Fu is a great game. A nice kind of the proto-genesis to the side-scrolling beat-em-up in a lot of ways. It's 5 levels. this was a game that I would play all the time when my older brother took his games when he moved out. I remember this was one of the games he took that I was really upset about because I loved playing Kung Fu. I probably tried stealing it from him a bunch of times. I might even have done it. And it's simple, it's fun. You got dudes that come up to you and hug you, and it drains your health. You got the guy on stage 4, you hit his head off, and it's hilarious. The stage 3 boss always gave me trouble. The big burly black guy with his giant leg would always destroy me. Even capturing the footage for it the other day, I couldn't get by him. I mean, after playing it a couple times, you can get through it. And it doesn't have an end. You just cycle through. And it has the great Ganon laughing sound effect, which a lot of the sound effects in these early games are pretty universal. Like, even going through baseball, I was hearing sound effects and noises. I would hear like, oh, that's a Zelda hit attack, or that's this and that's that. So they're pretty. That's one of the things I really enjoy about the NES, is looking at the companies and seeing how ubiquitous their sound effects were. But Kung Fu, great release. That was a game that I played a lot my whole life. That was a game I would always, you'd always pop in Kung Fu for a little bit to play it. So definitely, as far as these first 3 go, Kung Fu, head and shoulders above the rest. Now, how could you not have the Super Mario Brothers? I still not a big fan of this game. I'm sorry. As much as I try to like it, I try to play it all the time. Capturing the footage the other day, I was playing it again. I just don't like the way it feels. I'm so adept at the way Mario 3 and Mario World, even the new Mario Brothers on later consoles, the original Super Mario Brothers just feels sloppy. It just does. I don't enjoy it. I don't like that you can't pick up the turtles. I don't like the way it feels. Although, side note, it was interesting to see, because I captured this with my NT Mini, whereas when I did my Hated Gems on Super Mario, I captured it on my ABS. And if you look at the footage here, the blue sky looked purple on the ABS, but here on the NT Mini, it looks bluer. So because every once in a while I will see footage of Super Mario Brothers online, and it's usually the blue one, and I'm like, well, what was wrong? So yeah, that's an interesting comparison between the two systems. The NT Mini seems to have truer colors. But yeah, Mario Brothers, still a classic game. Compared to the rest of these, it is definitely... that's one of the things I'm noticing, is as I'm playing the games kind of chronologically in the years. There's a reason why a game like Super Mario Brothers steps up so much, like especially for people who were playing it in the time. It does so many different things, just with the side-scrolling alone and the power-ups. It definitely is better for that regard. I just don't like it. Sorry. And last, for 1985, this is a game that was my brother's game, as all these were my brother's games, although this was one I was allowed to keep in our big horse trading war of 1996, 95, whenever it happened, and that is Wrecking Crew. I was always a huge fan of Wrecking Crew. This game was a game I would play endlessly. I was never the best at beating all of it. One of my favorite things to do really was just trapping things in the little barrels and seeing their eyes pop out. I mean, I was 4. What do you expect? But it's just a super fun game. It's the first appearance of anti-hero Wario, or Wario, although I can't remember if that's supposed to be Wario or not, but that guy was always an ass. And it's just, they got the bonus levels where you find the coin. It's really satisfying, smashing the blocks and smashing the things, knocking people down, using the bombs. Like, just a really unique game. Wrecking Crew 98 never came out in America, and I tried playing it the other day, and it's way different. Not the same sort of thing as this classic version. I'd love to see Nintendo try and do something with it again. So that is 1985. So 1986, we'll go with my brother's only 1986 release, which was Popeye. Popeye in the NES. A game that I remembered him and my dad always liked. I never cared much for it, and playing through it the other day for the footage, it was better than I remember. I never had fond memories. It's a lot like a Donkey Kong single-screen arcade game. Like a lot of these are all very rudimentary type arcade games. But it's fun. You collect hearts, or you collect each level. You have to collect something that from olive oil and avoid Bluto. If you grab the spinach, you can knock them out. And you know, within playing the one round, I was able to figure out Bluto does different things depending on which stage. One stage he'll do an uppercut, another stage he'll do a downward dive. But a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Of the ones that were, like, of the games in this that weren't games that I regularly would play all the time, like, I could see myself popping Popeye in and having a go around with that, kind of the same way I do with Kung Fu, more so than playing Excitebike, Baseball, or even Super Mario Brothers. And then lastly, the game that I had from '86 that came with my NES was Mario Brothers, the arcade game, which is funny because Mario is blue. And when I got this, I remember being so excited that, oh my god, there's blue Mario. It's just the artwork. But I really thought that there was going to be blue Mario. And the styrofoam's missing in the box for some reason. I'm not sure why. But funnily enough, I love the original Mario Brothers. I love it so much. It's up there with Mario 3 as far as my favorite NES Marios. I would go Mario 3, Mario Brothers, Mario 2, and then Mario 1. I don't know why. It's just always, it was always a great, I don't know if it was because it was my game or what, but I always enjoyed playing it. It was simultaneous co-op, which you couldn't do in any of the other Marios, and just knocking the animals and then knocking them up was just a fun mechanic. If you hit them and then you didn't get to them, they changed colors. And once you killed all the enemies, you got an ultimate enemy who changed colors, so you could plan out your attacks with the POW block, make sure it hit everyone upside down at the same time so you don't get off a super enemy. And then there's the ice crystals, which the favorite part of that game always was seeing how many of the plateaus I could get on the ice crystals and getting icy, just because I loved the way it looked. And I remember my dad would always get so mad at me because I would do this. He's like, Luke, you can't do that. It's going to make the game so much harder. And so I'm like, no, Dad, let him go. Trust me. It's great. You need to get the ice guys. And so when he would kill the ice crystals when they were coming out of the pipes, I would get so mad at him. And that's just always a very fond memory I have with this game. And it's still to this day a game that I love going back to. Another reason why Mario 3 is so cool is the little mini game where you can switch your position with the other guy is basically a version of Mario Brothers. So that's what I got for 86 and 85. These 8 games. Not all these years are going to be this light. Some of them get pretty downright annoying, honestly, especially the ones coming up in the early 90s. But solid list of games, solid games all around. You got some of the big nostalgic heavy hitters and some ones you wouldn't necessarily have thought about. Like Popeye is pretty damn good, I will say. Of these ones, Wrecking Crew, Kung Fu, and Mario Brothers are obviously the ones I like the most. Least favorite's Baseball by far. Baseball is such a garbage game. It really is. I'm only glad I have it because it looks good on a shelf next to the other black box games. But anyways, let me know what you thought about this list. Let me know if you remember any of your early NES games. Oh, I forgot one. I forgot a game because I don't have it. Well, the reason why I don't have it is because we sold it. And my brother got 10-Yard Fight. I don't remember anything about it except for 10-Yard Fight being awful. And putting it into the emulator and playing it, I can agree that holy shit. It is so much worse than you can imagine. Just the fact that you have to wait ages for the damn running, like the guy in motion to go across the huddle. It is so slow. I don't know how they sold any of these. Well, I mean, yeah, I know how they sold the copies. It was the first football game, but I don't know how any of these did not end up in the trash because it was so freaking bad. Yeah, 10-Yard Fight. That's the worst game from this list, and that's why I don't have it. And actually, I still don't have it in my collection. That's not a game that I've picked up. Although, if I end up going for completionist crap, I'll pick it up eventually. You know, right now I'm around 188 games, something like that. So, nowhere near. But anyways, like I was saying, so nice getting a hold of you guys. Take care.